Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, D stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have, for Ichor Fall, My Life by J.G. Norrington. So, My Life by J.G. Norrington is by Ilitchev, at least according to a bunch of comments that they made in the comment section of the submitted section of the Ichor Falls website, which is where you can find the story.
I'm not gonna
if
lie.
you would like to.
When I first read the title, I was like, "Hey, they actually credited the author in this story."
But no, the story, which is credited in the comments and not the actual where it would be credited, is about a story where we get a title and the credits to the story.
Yeah, I thought for once it's like, "Oh, they listened to us and they're gonna start crediting people in the title for some reason," but that's fine. Oh, never
Yes, in 2008, they're back in 2008, they're going to. They listened to us.
This is Ichor Falls we're talking about. That's not
True.
That's surprisingly plausible.
Yeah, that is very possible, I suppose. So yeah, you can check out My Life by J.G. Norrington on the Ichor Falls website under the submitted section. It's basically like the last one there. Guys, I think this might be it.
This will be the last Ichor Fall.
I think this will be the last Ichor Fall unless somebody starts producing more stories about Ichor Falls. Kris Straub.
Internet. Get on it, internet.
Get on it, Kris Straub and the internet. Kris Straub and the internet sounds like a weird ska band.
It kind of does, yeah.
Which goes well with his webcomic called Chainsaw Suit, which also sounds like a ska band.
Most things do.
Yeah. Most things sound like a high school ska band.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so before we dive too far into this, let's give our initial our initial recommendations or non-recommendations. I will go first. I'm going to recommend this one.
I am not going to recommend this one.
All right.
Once again, I'm going to partially recommend this one.
To be fair, mine was going to be a partial. I was like, no, fuck that. I'm going to be decisive, goddammit.
I'm not.
Yeah, that's fair. You could be wishy-washy.
Mm-hmm. Next recording starts. You guys do your names, and then I'm wishy-washy.
Yeah, introducing the wishy-washy.
I need a name.
You just go into your Twitter page that everything you're so wishy-washy. You're just yeah. Oh wow. It's just a non-colored version of your character, like Gamer in Yellow. So it's just a white version of your character.
Yeah.
On a picket fence, just hanging on a picket fence.
Mm-hmm.
Just chilling.
I'm sort of ninja, but sort of a pirate as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, you can see the bandana underneath the hood.
Yeah, totally.
Yep. Anyway,
not the story, though. We should probably continue.
Yeah. Back to the story at hand. So yeah, those are our recommendations. So do with that what you will, or continue listening to hear why we gave those recommendations. And let's start with the rundown. So Tyler Newman, son of Gloin. Tyler Newman, son of Jeffrey Newman of the New Elysium Group, gets a job transferring the card catalog system of the Ichor Falls Library to a computer database in 1987. He gets the job mostly as a way to escape the muggy heat outside and everywhere else in the falls. Because, you see, the library was built into one of the hills and part of an old mine. So it's literally one of the coolest places in Ichor Falls.
Mm-hmm.
As a result of its design and location, the ground floor is actually the third floor, with the oldest books down in the deep, dark recesses below. It is here where Tyler, after finishing transfer of the books above for about a month or so. Equipped with a flashlight, his laptop, and headphones blasting the tunes of Electric Light Orchestra, descends to complete his job. It's down in the dungeon-esque sublevels of the library that he encounters some strange occurrences. The oddest of which is a catalog card that keeps returning/recurring as he tries to transfer cards to the system. For a book called My Life by J.G. Norrington, autobiography. Eventually driven to seek out the book itself by the insistent catalog card, while also feeling haunted by some shadow off in the darkness, he finally does find the book, but then that same shadow descends upon him as ELO plays. We then cut away to a newspaper clipping about the disappearance of Tyler about a week earlier, and about a new investigator that has come to town who is hopeful about solving the case and dedicating his life to Tyler. That investigator being John G. Norrington. Dun dun dun. Finn. So, next up, we shall move on to Everyone Tolerates the Grammar Inquisitions! At this point, I've got a couple. Despite my positive recommendation, I do have a fair amount that kind of pissed me off. Gonna start with this one here. I was hired to do the dully repetitive job of transforming the card catalog into a computer database, another cog in New Elysium's convoluted plot to revitalize the town. So, in this instance, I think it should be just dull repetitive job, not dully repetitive job. Mostly because dully isn't really much of a word for that, but
I suppose that's true.
Dully is a word, though.
it is, but it doesn't really fit the, like, I was hired to do
kind of
the
does.
dully, the dull repetitive job. It works for me, but like when I read, like, I was hired to do the dully repetitive job, it just sounds weird.
Basically, what he's doing is he's doing a dull, repetitive job dully. Because dully is like a manner in which lacks of interest or excitement. So he is dully towards the dull job.
Yeah, then I don't know, like, but it doesn't. The way it's in the sentence, it doesn't fit to me. Like,
Oh, I'm agreeing with you, but I'm
okay,
just saying it's a word.
yeah, okay, yeah,
And
dully
he's
is a
not
word, but
into
like,
the job, he's just kind of doing it to get out of the heat.
yeah, but it should be dull, or like maybe change the sentence so that it's like I was working this repetitive job in a dully fashion. Maybe, I don't know.
Doing this dully job. Or
Yes.
dullily doing this dull job.
Yeah.
For Max confusion.
Yes, exactly. Moving on. So I'm gonna start with this. This is the quote. No one bothered me because few people could muster the tenacity to work their way out here, and those that did avoided the card catalog like the plague, directing their inquiries to Pensworth instead. So first off, there needs to be a comma in there, so it's like, and those that did, comma, avoided the card catalog like the plague.
Oh, at that spot where you read it as if there was a comma, and I assumed
Yes.
there already was? Gotcha.
Yeah. That's actually not my. I just caught that now for my notes, but my actual grammar inquisition here is so it's interesting that because the word catalog in this sentence specifically, and in a couple of other ones earlier, it uses the English version, like the British version of catalog with a UE at the end of catalog.
Mm-hmm.
But this story is, and I assume the person is someone from Ichor Falls, so presumably American. So it should be they should be using the American word of catalog, which doesn't have the UE at the end. It's just CATALOG. However, moving on from this paragraph or this sentence and going to the like a few down the way, we get this. Arduous because the books kept on the first floor were the oldest, and with old books come old, tattered, and sloppy catalog cards. in this instance, and most of the times after this, they are using the American version of catalog.
Oh, whoops.
So yeah, the story uses both versions of English for like the catalog word.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna counteract you, but I can't anymore, so that's fine.
Yeah.
You countered my
And
counter.
in that last quote, I put a comma after arduous.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Arduous, comma, because the book's kept on the first floor. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I can see that. So the next thing I have, this story was going so well with maintaining tense. But then
Here we goes.
But then about halfway through the story, we get this. Not just that, but as I look at it closely, it looks like more than just a copy. It looks identical to the other two cards. Same creases, same strong and steady handwriting. So it's supposed to be, but as I looked at it closely, and then furthermore, it looked identical to the other two cards, or it looked like more than just a copy.
Yes.
And then it keeps going with this quote. I reach over to where I had set down the second card, but feel only empty desk. It should be I reached over to where I had set down the second card, but felt only empty desk.
Shouldn't it be
Or
an
only
empty
empty
desk?
Hmm?
Shouldn't it be an
Um,
empty desk?
I mean, it's like, but he felt only empty desk. Like
Yeah.
there's only empty desk there. Yeah,
Yes,
like in that space that he's like feeling. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, reached and felt. Next one. Panicking, I rummaged through the trash can, but find no crumpled card. So it should be I rummaged through the trash can.
Can I make a suggestion?
But found no crumpled card. Yes.
Can I please make a suggestion?
Sure.
That you get your own special segment called Tense Time or something like that? Or Tense Talk?
Tense talk, yeah. What could my tense talk?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I love it. Next,
Okay, cool.
moving forward. Yeah, Cultist gets his tense talk. All right, I love it. So, yeah, welcome to my tense talk. Next one, please. The stack of cards I had on the table sail onto the ground, and one by one I see them show the same word or same words. So it should be the stack of cards I had on the table sailed onto the ground, and one by one I saw them show the same words. The next one here, I swing my flashlight onto the floor where the cards had fallen and see only one lying where there should be a dozen. So it should be I swung my flashlight onto the floor where the cards had fallen and saw only one lying where there should be dozens.
Before you continue.
Or should be a dozen. Yeah.
With the previous one, I also had that one. Another suggestion I had with the cards going off one at a time was the stack of cards I had on the table begun to sail onto the ground. Because it doesn't really mention them starting to move, just that they're moving now.
Yeah, it's like I had on the table sailed onto. I mean, like again, like it's one of those. It's like it's like where empty desk ought to be, or it's like the stack of cards I had on the table sailed off the onto the ground, like off the table. Like they just sailed, like as in like they were just got flung off the table. Like that's what it's trying to imply there. But
kind of feel like it also needs a comma after ground. So like they sailed onto the ground and one.
And then get rid of and then that would also replace the and there too, because like sailed onto the ground, comma, one by one I saw them show the same words.
Yeah. And because you're limiting the words in there, it's kind of making it slightly more like to the point, like focused on the fact that they're all showing the same words because there's less words before it.
Yeah, a bit more streamlined.
Yeah.
And then my last one. I pick up the card, shutting my eyes, pulling myself together. Should be I picked up the card, shutting my eyes, pulling myself together. Thank you. This has been my tense talk. As I walk off stage.
And then come back on because you're still here. Still
Yeah.
have stuff to say.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my tense talk, and that was my grammar inquisition. Mikey, the E stands for evil.
Oh, it was
You're up
all
next.
tense?
Yep.
Okay.
I was really I was actually rather disappointed at this point, by the stories grammar wise, because it was like the story had been doing so well, and then it just started falling apart at the end with the grammar. But I digress. Mikey, the stands for evil. You're next.
So the one I got here. Electricity had not yet reached its slithering tendrils into this portion of the building, though it was sparsely lit by, incredibly, oil lanterns placed at random throughout the echoing chamber. So I put a comma at the end of random.
Yeah, that does need something now that you read it.
Yeah. Yeah, fair.
And then I have an it story.
All right. And now an it story with Mikey. The E stands for evil. Take it away.
It wasn't because I was strapped for cash. My parents were one of the prime investors in developing Ichor Falls, and they were always willing to help me fund the local economy. It was because I needed to get out of the house, away from the oppressively humid fog that circled our aging property. It was at this point that I stumbled upon a rather unremarkable card which read, "My Life by J.G. Norrington, Autobiography." It was a subtle shift in the dull and near inky blackness which surrounded me, so insignificant that I barely paid it any attention. It screeched across the marble floor, echoing dully throughout the chamber. It was dense, far denser than it looked. Finn.
Okay. So, like, the weirdness is the fact that there's this card that's like sliding across the floor, and the card itself is like super heavy and dense.
Like a neutron star.
Yeah. What kind of ink did he use on this? What the hell?
Ah, black hole ink.
Yes.
Not that Indian ink crap, or not that Indian black ink crap. It's the ink from a black hole for the most black.
It changes it up a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And for those unaware, Mikey does these strings of sentences to highlight all the sentences in a story that start with words that they probably shouldn't, like its, ands, or buts, because there's always better words.
Indeed. And then I suppose that's up to Gamer now.
I suppose it is. I got a job at... Well, actually, this first thing is literally... Is it the entire first paragraph? Okay, so yeah. I'm just going to summarize it to the entire first paragraph is 2 sentences, and the entirety of the first sentence is, I got a job at the public library this summer. That's
and then it's just
and the
four
rest of it is all one sentence.
Like if you combine the last line and the part of the first line that isn't the first sentence, it makes up 3 lines of sentence.
Yes, so it's a little much.
A little bit.
Yep. So I chopped it up a little bit to I got a job at the public library this summer, comma, but it wasn't because I was strapped for cash, period. My parents were one of the prime investors in developing Ichor Falls, and they were always willing to help me, quote-unquote, fund the local economy, period. The main reason I wanted to get the job, though, comma, was because I needed to get out of the house, comma, away from the oppressively humid fog that circled our aging property.
Yep.
Gives you a little bit of time to breathe and flows a little bit better. Not that there wasn't lack of punctuation in the run-on.
No, there's tons of punctuation. It's just wow.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
I guess it like half stops with the semicolon and stuff, but Because semicolons like combining two sentences technically, right?
Yeah.
I just hate the use of semicolons because partially because I don't know when's the right time to use them. So every time I see them, I'm just like, there's got to be a better way.
Fair.
And my way may be wrong, and maybe semicolons are awesome, and I should actually learn how the hell you're supposed to use them because maybe I'll love them. But for now, I don't. So moving on. Most of my days involved nothing more than setting up my laptop in front of the teetering card catalog, cranking up the ELO, and getting to work. So at first I didn't know what ELO meant. So I Googled it, and my findings were kind of inconclusive. It ranged from a system to rate the skill of chess players to elephant dung.
No, it's Electric Light Orchestra.
I got there by the end, but before I got there, I'm like, I suppose he could mean he's cranking up his own skills to get things done faster, or maybe he's cranking up the speed to do it faster but more shittily, hence the elephant dung.
Maybe.
Yeah, but then later on, he says cranks up the volume on his headphones. So
yeah,
I was under the impression that he was quietly working, like without music or anything, this entire time, just chugging away at it.
Which is funny because later on in the story, like he's inserting lyrics from Electric Light Orchestra.
Yeah, imagine how I felt.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah.
I have a feeling like we're gonna have alternative views on that situation.
We may.
As a result.
We may. But I shall move on. I happily entered the information into my database and placed the card in my quote-unquote complete pile. Was it then that I first noticed something moving in the distant periphery of my eye?
Question mark?
I'm wrong.
Why?
I don't know why that's questioned.
I think it's like he's like, for some reason in that moment he's questioning, like, did he see that thing there, or was that the first time he's seen that dark shadow behind the dark, like in front of the darkness? Like, but it is kind of weird the way it's written.
It's the first time he's noticing it.
Yeah, no, it is weird. I will give you that.
Yeah, but my question was, why are you asking the reader?
That too.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're supposed to tell me. It could also be like it was then that I noticed something move.
Yeah, honestly, I think when I first came across it, I thought that it was missing like something.
Or just then I noticed something moving,
Yeah.
And then this part here. Actually, wait, hang on. Yep, sorry, I format my notes very specifically so I know what is quote and what isn't. And I didn't do that here, so I was confused, but I got it now. So I took the card and threw it, crumpled into the trash can next to me. As they sat and sang, "Auld Lang Syne by the Light of the Moon." Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's the lyrics
playing
as he's...
and previous to that, I saw that there was lyrics, and they were, you guessed it, italicized, and I love that. But
yeah, I mean, in this case,
but this part here, it italiced, but I didn't notice it. And the words that it was saying, it sounded like it was actually following up what was being said. Like he was saying, like, I threw it into the trash, I threw it into the trash as they sat and sang something. Like, what? What are you talking about? Oh, it's lyrics.
Yeah, I have to wonder, like, maybe if, like, because I was like, how could you differentiate that without like subtly enough so you're not doing like in brackets or like even in quotes? Because if you do it in quotes, it sounds like he's talking. If you do it in brackets, it kind of comes, it almost like differentiates it away from the story too much.
Well, here's how you do it.
Okay.
Well, at least one way I'm considering it. If he is possibly audibly actually singing these words as he's working, then you just put them in quotes.
But he's not.
How do you know?
He's listening to it on blast because he's listening to it on blast. That's already been established. It is being spoken.
Their lungs out while music's on blast in their ears.
Not when you're in a library.
In the basement where no one goes.
Not when you're in a library.
To dust.
Hey man, I don't want to invoke the wrath of Mr. Pensworth.
Oh yeah, I suppose. Yeah, honestly, I do it in quotes, but also do it in italics. So then it's separated, but it's still italic. So you know it's not normal.
Yeah,
He's not
okay.
even just normally saying it.
Yeah.
Or if there was a damn key without using alt codes to put in like the little like musical musical symbol.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like basically like a wingding to that's that symbol.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you could do it with alt codes. It's just I haven't done alt codes in forever.
Another thing I was like thinking about, it's like because underlining wouldn't really work either. But if you wanted to absolutely get away from the italicized, I wonder if bolding those sentences would come out would make it better. Because the song is on blast in the guy's ears.
That's true.
So bolding it would be subtle enough that like it's catching your eye, but it's not like distracting you or not separating you from the story.
Yeah. Yeah, that might.
This is just like our anti-italicize campaign.
Yeah.
This is just our anti-Italian campaign. Wait, no.
No, that's next week's recording.
Ooh.
Oh, right. You're not.
Guess
you're not.
I guess I'm not invited to that one.
Shit. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
We were joking.
Yes.
Not that we have to
full
say
disclosure,
that, obviously, but
yeah,
you never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the end of my grammar in yellow.
All right. Then I suppose we'll move on to actual thoughts. I'm going to start with this very long quote here. The library is one of the only eternally cool buildings in town due to being constructed into the side of a hill. A network of sloping subterranean chambers spiraling deeply into the earth, so that the entrance was actually the third floor, while the older books were down on the first. The story goes that the building was put here when a potential iron mine would not yield its expected fruit, and the furious landowners gave up the land for public use. That was close to 200 years ago. So I love the idea that they built the library in Ichor Falls out of part of the old mines, because nothing terrible will ever happen because of that.
No, why would there?
It's like building a fucking Walmart in the mines of like on the entrance to the mines of Moria.
It'd be fine.
Yeah. Also, I had to actually do some math. Like, I had to check the math on this, and yeah, it's likely that this would have been close to about 200 years ago when this was set up, because based on the dates that are provided both in this story at like 1987 and when the town was founded, according to the visitor section, the visitor center section of Ichor Falls website, which has the town's founding as of 1804. So, yeah, close to 200 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the town, like even in its early stage, like between 1800 and 1850, the town's chief exports were iron, coal, and salt.
And fruit.
So
course.
there were what?
And fruit, of course.
Well, fuck your literalism.
It said expected fruit.
Because it's like the fruits of their labor, you asshole.
Oh shit, you idiot.
I will walk over to your house and beat you, sir.
You can't. There's piles of dirt at the end of my driveway. You cannot get to me.
Damn it. But yeah, so yeah, this it's very possible that this is actually relative. I was concerned, it's like 200 years ago. That's a pretty long time for a building. It's like, wait, this is America. Hang on, and also this is Ichor Falls. Let's take a look at Ichor Falls when it was founded. All right, 1804, and they were exporting iron and coal and stuff like that at the time. So yeah, I guess that could have been a mine. All right, checks out. But moving on to my next thing here. This is actually a quote that I think Mikey brought up earlier in his grammar position. Electricity had not yet reached its slithering tendrils into this portion of the building, so it was sparsely lit by, incredibly, oil lanterns placed at random throughout the echoing chamber. Nice to see that Ichor Falls, the Ichor Falls Library, has a darkest dungeon. Tomb of Horrors, perhaps? Like, goddamn.
A little bit. I also say I like the what's the word for it? The flair of describing electricity being sent through a building as like, what is it, like tentacles or something like that?
Yeah, slithering tendrils. And like that's 100% true, because it is like kind of like all the wiring and stuff like that, and like the electricity like flows through those wires like tendrils. Yeah, no, I love that. I love the details that are put into the story for that. And then the next thing here, on the first day that I was supposed to head down, Mr. Pensworth simply handed me a flashlight and hoarsely said, "Best of luck," after which he withdrew to the main desk. Good luck. or even better yet, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just, now I just see Mr. Pensworth as that old man in the cave in The Legend of Zelda.
Totally. He's like holding the flashlight like above his head as he picks it up. He being Tyler. I didn't specify that.
Yep. And then the next thing here, again, I'm just gushing over the basement of this place and how it's described and stuff. Titles written in strange, unrecognizable tongues. Cards wholly and partially drenched in water or worse. Their true content forever diffused. Titles so bizarre that I had to consider them misprints. I grew increasingly more agitated as each day went by, sometimes skipping large stacks of cards just to get to something that I could read. You know, most creepy libraries, like, the Miskatonic University's library, have a rare book room. It's nice to see that Ichor Falls is stepping it up with an eldritch bookseller.
Yeah, an entire level, not just a room.
Yeah. Or eldritch book basement.
Well, it's the first floor technically, so it's the eldritch book floor. It's just the entire first floor to our library is specifically for shit you should not be reading at all.
An eldritch book suite. Yeah. Or an eldritch book, and as we find out later with the actual, because some of the there's something down there, an eldritch book boss level.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that I love the description of like this like dungeon-esque library basement. And then we get this part here. It was at this point that I stumbled upon a rather unremarkable card which read, "My Life" by J.G. Norrington, autobiography. Title drop, literally.
Yep. So I was just thinking,
and then,
this is completely unrelated, and I'm gonna let you finish.
Sure.
But in regards to basements, in America, isn't the first floor technically underground? Isn't that how they do it? I thought they do it different than how we do up here in Canada.
Like where the ground floor is not the first floor, it's actually because
Well, actually, I think I'm thinking in regards to skyscrapers and stuff, because we do ground floor and then first floor, second floor, blah blah blah, right? Or is first floor and ground floor the same thing? I don't remember.
First floor and ground floor are usually the same.
Yeah, and then there's usually like basement sub-level or basement level, like B1, B2.
So theoretically, this should be first floor and then 2 basements. Because it's underground.
Well, the ground level should be like the first floor, and then B1 would be the first basement, and then B2 would be the second. The second.
Yeah, because they're all technically sort of underground, or because they're all below the main floor.
Yeah,
because we've had one basement. Yes. What about second basement?
Yeah. All right, please continue.
Yeah. Okay.
Title drops where you were.
Yeah, that's fine. It was about the title drop thing, and then we get so to counteract the title drop stuff. I happily entered the information into my database and placed the card into the complete pile. And credits. Nothing else weird happens. We're done. No, unfortunately, it keeps going. I mean, not unfortunately. It's just
Mr. I recommend this story. Unfortunately, it keeps going.
I know. I'd like to preface this. I do like this story. Okay. I could like things and also make fun of it.
Also, I found the thing I was looking up with the floors. I was Googling it. Canada and the US, the floor of the building at the level of the street is the first floor. In Britain, the first floor is the first one above the ground floor. So they do ground and then first.
Interesting.
That's where I got it from. Probably from watching like Britcoms constantly.
Yeah.
Please
Probably.
continue. Now I got that out of my mind.
Okay. So my last quote here is hopes of finding the young man remain high. However, with the recent arrival of John G. Norrington, the new investigator with the department, who has made finding Newman his personal mission. Norrington, a man whom I go to interview in person, or I go to interview in person, a man whom I got to interview in person, exudes a positive energy, even in the midst of this family tragedy. I'm here to dedicate my life to this young man. My heart goes out to him. After which, he returned to his work, humming along to an ELO song on the radio. So, is this John G. Norrington a lich? Or like some kind of entity that was trapped on the first floor as some kind of a specter, like tied to some book or even the catalog card itself until someone went down there and traded places with them or like sacrificed themselves or their essence to bring him back?
Answer is yes.
I'm left a little confused. I was left a little bit confused at the end, but in like that kind of type of confused where like I'm intrigued, and so it was kind of more of a positive. It was like I'd like to know more, obviously, but I'm also really happy just wondering like what the hell like he is. And like I like the air of mystery about this.
That makes one of us.
I know. Well, you guys know me. Like I've always kind of like had that kind of that opinion of things. Like I like that. I like wondering after the fact. Like when a movie or a story drops something like that, kind of an ending, and it's just like oh, what's happening here? Meanwhile, you guys are like, what the fuck's happening here? God damn it! But and then also it's interesting using the lyrics of Electric Light Orchestra throughout the story in the writing as the character is blasting the tunes through its headphones. Once I realized that that's what the lyrics were, or that those were lyrics, it added to the scene in my mind because like I had like a soundtrack that was playing in my head while this was all going on. And having Norrington in the news article at the end humming an ELO song just further links us as a reader to the fact that there is something sinister afoot here with John G. Norrington, the investigator. So, yeah, I know I might be the only one here that enjoyed this, but I did actually really enjoy like the lyrics and like the inclusion of the lyrics, and also like the sort of kind of cliffhanger ending we get with like, who is John G. Norrington and what did he do to Tyler?
I kind of wish, like, we all know that it's the same one, like J.G. Norrington, but I kind of wish when they were talking about the inspector at the end, just said like Inspector Norrington came into town, because that would be enough. Or even just John Norrington, but saying the G as well seems kind of like a stretch. Like, unless you specifically go by your initial.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Like, I think they could have excluded the G, or even just like the John G, and just had like Inspector Norrington, because that would have given you more than enough for like to insinuate him without being like too obvious and like too like just too much like kind of like gut punching you the idea like stop punching me in the gut.
And granted, it could be Steve Norrington or something completely unrelated, but
yeah, but it just adds like that's part of the allure of this kind of ending where it's just like, what is it? Is it the Norrington from the book? What's going on? Like, and then it
turns out it's John's brother, Steve. His brother went missing in this town years ago, and he's come to investigate it as well. And that completely changes it around.
Yeah, exactly. But that's fine because like it opens up the ending. Yeah, it opens it up to be an open ending, like a much more open-ended ending than how we got it, which I still like the way we have it, but yeah, like I see your point.
Mhm.
So that was my actual thoughts. So, Mikey, the E stands for evil.
All right. Well, I'm gonna start talking about the J.G. Norrington. The thing is, we don't know what the J stands for in regards to the book. Like, it could be Josh, Jacob, Jay,
It could be
Jason.
Oh,
Like,
it
it
could
could
be
be,
a different person.
yeah. So the ending for me did nothing because it could just be that the Norringtons live in Ichor Falls and he's a descendant.
Oh, like it's
I
an
mean,
extremely
fair.
common name, like last name.
Yeah, Norrington is actually like one of the founders of Ichor
Yeah.
Falls.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then him singing along to a song that was popular at the time really doesn't solidify anything.
And considering it was on the radio, he didn't choose to put it on.
Yeah.
True. Also, kind of weird that the news reporter would just would have that added in
Yeah.
to their news article. Not to poke holes at, like, again, I'm on the side of the story, but like to poke holes at it even further, it's like it's kind of weird.
Yeah. As he walked away, he was singing the song while picking his nose, and then he farted as he turned around the corner.
It's like, and the editor's just like, yeah, Bill, we're not gonna. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe you should want to like trim some of that. Like that ending part's a little doing a little bit of a disservice to the department, and we don't want them hanging down our necks on that. So if you just remove that, yeah, that'd be great. Yep.
Yeah. So my next actual thought is about the lyrics to "Do You Want My Love" or whatever the song actually is. I forget. I looked it up once.
Question: did anyone have the song
But
playing while they were reading the story?
No, but I vaguely remember. I vaguely recall the song because I actually used to listen to a lot of Electric Light Orchestra.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I listened to it before we started recording.
Nice.
So.
Nice.
I did not. I was going to, but then instead I didn't. Please continue.
So we ran again. Once again, we're running the gambit.
That's what we do.
Someone listened to it before the record, like before we started recording, like after they read the story. Read the story. Someone had previous knowledge about the song before even reading the story, and then someone was going to listen to the song, but
yeah,
didn't.
it's like I was gonna click on it, but something was telling me like I should not do this for balance purposes. It's like I knew. Please continue.
Yes.
So, like I'm saying, I didn't really care for the italicized lyrics
Yes.
in the story. Like,
Yeah.
I know they're there to sort of add a coincidence to the end to say that, oh, well, he was listening to Elo when he disappeared, and now this guy who is the investigator is listening to it. Like,
who has the same last name as the book that Tyler was looking at, but no one else except for the reader will know about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then my next note here is that when it came to the sort of the shadows and the things in the shadows, I was expecting ghosts.
I mean, kinda.
You're not technically wrong.
Yeah, it's very possible that James or J.G. Norrington was some kind of a specter or shadow or a shade of his former self, and the book was actually his phylactery or his hex, or it was, what's that thing in Harry Potter, the Hexcrux? A Horcrux, yeah, the Horcrux. And it just God damn it, and it just required somebody to like look upon the pages to be ensnared by the transfer of life essence to bring him back. But that's kind of all conjecture.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that he was summoned through opening the book, and it wasn't a body swap or anything. It's just he was summoned, and then all of a sudden there's a lich in front of him, and the lich straight up fucking killed him or ate him or something.
Well, yeah, well, like it's like the mummy. Like the mummy gets resurrected, and then like he doesn't like swap bodies with all the people that opened up read from the book. He straight up siphons the life force out of those people and leaves them as a husk. So like somewhere in the musty darkness of the darkest dungeon of the Ichor Falls library, there is like a husk of a teenage boy, or of like a 20-something boy in the corner.
Seems on brand for Ichor Falls.
Yeah. Or suddenly there's a novel in the basement there of My Life by Tyler Newman, autobiography. There's now just a book down in the library for that.
That was actually one way I thought it was going to be. Like it would just say My Life by T. Newman.
Yeah. By T Newman. The Newman.
Mm-hmm. Newman.
Oh, that could have been who JG is. JG Norrington's first name could have been Jerry. It's like Norrington goes back down to the basement. Like, hello Newman, hello Jerry.
Oh my god! Wow. Well, I know what my headcanon for this is now.
Yeah, no, 100%. Tyler Newman is played by Newman from Seinfeld, and Norrington is Jerry Seinfeld.
Wow.
Oh, shit. Damn. Just damn.
Well, if you were going to do art, now you know what to do.
Yeah.
Just have Norrington basically have the shot from like inside the book as like as Newman opens it, and Newman standing outside the book as if it's the door to the hallway.
What's the deal with the card catalog system? What's the deal with Dewey Decimal System?
What's so Dewey about it? Yeah.
Who's Dewey? God.
Okay,
so I'm sorry. Yeah, we have completely we've taken over Mikey's section with this. Please continue, Mikey.
Yeah, and anyway, part of my problem with the shadows, like actually having any relevance, is that he's on the first floor. There's oil lanterns instead of electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So oil lanterns have flame which flickers, which casts shadows.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, so you're mundanifying this
hell
whole
yeah,
thing.
do it up.
So if the shadows didn't get him, what did?
Now, sorry, I'm just envisioning it like, dude, I'm here, bore me!
Bore me?
Because like you're mundanifying like the supernatural element of the story.
Oh, he died from literal boredom. It was so boring down there that he literally died from boredom.
No, I'm saying that in regards to Mikey, like mundanifying.
Oh, I'm
story.
mundanifying his death.
Okay, fair. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it seemed like a pretty boring gig. Like,
yes.
Wow.
All right. So my next actual thought, and this is the spot where it really all falls apart for me.
Okay.
I have a few quotes. I was hired to do the dully repetitive job of transforming the card catalog into a computer database, another cog in New Elysium's convoluted plot to revitalize the town.
This is really early.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think I know. I think I know where he's going with this. But yeah, continue.
Another quote. I say hypothetical because it wasn't my responsibility to check whether or not the book actually existed. That would be the fortunate job of some other low-paid grub. Most of my days involved nothing more than setting up my laptop in front of the teetering card catalog, cranking up the ELO, and getting to work.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And my last quote here, Ichor Falls Sentinel, July 15th, 1987.
Yep.
Oh.
I was curious about this myself, but I wanted to leave it for you because you're a tech guy.
I didn't even consider. Please continue, sir.
All right. So, looking into history, There have been personal computers since 1977, and laptops did exist in 1987, but it's highly unlikely that he would be using it for the purposes that he has, which is digitizing the catalog for the computer database, because laptops back then had 20 megabit hard drives and a floppy disk drive.
Mm-hmm.
And the 20 megabit hard drives basically housed the operating system, so you had to save data onto the floppy disk drive.
Yep.
And nowhere in the story does it mention floppy disks.
I will be perfectly honest, until the newspaper clipping thing, I thought it was the early
Me too.
2000s.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, and then I read that, I was like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I mean, this is some rich asshole kid. I'm sure he's got a laptop in the 80s. I know
doesn't mean
laptops
he's
were
an
a thing in the
asshole.
80s. Doesn't it though? No.
Wow, there goes all of our our rich listeners.
There goes all of our sponsors. No. But no. Like I knew there were laptops in the 80s, but I knew they weren't very common. And I knew they were like basically bricks, or they were like
Yes.
cinder blocks. They were cinder
Yes.
blocks.
That's my
So,
other point,
yeah.
is that they were very large and heavy, so very ungangly to use.
Yeah. Like this guy would have been better off going down to the basement and bringing up to a localized PC or computer that the library had installed on the ground floor on the third floor to catalog all the cards and stuff like that, rather than having a laptop down into a lamp-ridden basement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially for the time, at least for the time period thing. It's a little anachronistic.
Yeah. So the technology doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And I tried looking up when libraries typically decide to start digitizing, and what I found was 1995.
Fair. Now, to counter that, the New Elysium Group has, for some reason, was a corporation or group that decided to revitalize this sleepy West Virginia town that was formerly a ghost town for almost 20 years. So they, for some, just playing devil's advocate here, perhaps they decided they wanted to push more technology into the town, more progress into the town by installing it, like basically being an outlier with the library digitizing.
Make them ahead of the
initiative.
curve.
Yeah. But even still, you wouldn't probably spend like 40 grand on a laptop.
Yeah.
You would probably buy a computer that was not a laptop, that had more storage for this database that
it's probably likely
had.
Yeah, it would have been next to like where Mr. Pensworth was at the little island in the library on the third floor.
I mean, he doesn't call it. Sorry, he does call it my laptop. I wonder if it's literally his, or if it's just the laptop he's assigned for the job.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, like I call my work Mac is like I consider it's my Mac, at least for now.
I see.
Like,
okay.
But like that's how I mean. But that's more of like a personal preference or opinion thing. Is like
if you did that naturally yourself, it's entirely possible that Tyler would do that too. So I'll let that slide.
Yeah, and most laptops at the time were glorified word processors.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I'm assuming he's using some kind of like primitive like Excel software or something to like catalog all these books or something. Or maybe he is just using a Word document to make a list. Which
the equivalent to opening up WordPad and just typing.
Oh god. Just typing in yeah. Or, perhaps the author of the story, not to throw shade at them or anything like that, maybe they didn't pay too much attention to the fact that, like, they're setting this in the late 80s, but they're using like terminology and stuff like that for like the early 2000s. Yeah. And we could be wrong. I could be wrong on that, but it's just like that, like maybe that, like that's the excuse here, is that somebody didn't do their research.
Yeah, that's very likely it, is that they didn't do the research for the technology of the time.
Like even bumping it up 10 years would make it more plausible, right?
Yeah.
Unless
so many devil advocates here.
There was a time warp. There was a time warp. And so Tyler went missing in the 2000s. But he's also been missing since 1987.
I'm confused.
And yeah, no, that falls apart really fast into a time paradox. Yeah, we gotta get Time Squatch on that.
Time Squatch.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done countering you, Mikey.
Like we're just sitting there quietly waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the end of my actual thoughts.
All right. Gamer.
Turn. Okay. So the title. It was just me, but like when I read the writer's name, because I thought it was a writer at the time, but it doesn't matter, of J.G. Norrington, it really made me think that there was like, this was all being dictated with like a really awesome British accent behind it all, just because it sounds fancy.
My Life by J.G. Norrington. Fair. So did you like read this as a British narrator?
I did for the first couple paragraphs, then I got tired of doing that because I needed to get this done and get outside and work, so I just continued as normal.
Okay, fair enough.
The library is one of the only eternally cool buildings in this town. Cut to an 80s commercial. The library's not just cool, it's eternally cool. Supporting your local library isn't just smart, it's rad.
Gamer, we're missing out on the perfect little like joke pun thing here.
Are we?
Cool, eternal.
Oh, in the Doom font.
Yeah, cool, eternal.
I am going to Photoshop that together. I will do that.
Please do, and post it on Twitter, please. I implore you.
Jeez.
I'm sorry, just like you brought up, it's like, is eternally cool. I was like Doom Eternal, like cool Eternal.
Oh.
What about cool 2016?
I mean, that's pretty good. I don't mind it.
Yeah. Or how about cool 3?
Yeah.
Or cool Hell on Earth.
Wow. That's absolutely
okay, I'll shut up. I'm sorry.
My favorite's probably cool.
I'm sorry. I'm really very grace.
Or Final
yeah,
Cool.
Cool 64 was
Final
pretty good.
Cool was pretty cool too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Sorry, we're being exceptionally critically silly today.
Yeah.
We have reached critical mass on silliness today.
But that's fine. That's why we're here.
Yep.
So moving on.
Mm-hmm.
I was hired to do the dully repetitive job of transforming the card catalog into a computer database. Is Nair a wizard of some kind? I called him Nair at this point because I didn't know. Because that's going to be very difficult. Physically turning cardboard and wood into metal and circuitry into a computer.
I mean, as long as he's got a philosopher's stone, he's fine. He just transmutes wood and cardboard to circuits or to silicon and metal.
He can do that. I'm sure he can. He's a kid. All kids can do that.
Yeah. He's a whiz kid.
Yeah. Or is it like the watch where he like summons a little imp or something and puts him in a box with a Rolodex with all the information?
Yep. So we're going to some like high, like some weird like arcane tech or like magic tech.
Mm-hmm. So moving on. On the first day that I was supposed to head down, Mr. Pensworth, simply handed me a flashlight and hoarsely said, "Best of luck," after which he withdrew to the main desk. With each step, I kicked up thick clouds of dust, blah, 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 blah. So, isn't this a public library? Like, this part is giving the vibes of you don't want to go down to the first floor. But how would this be possible if the library is open to the public?
The third floor is open to the public. The staff only down to the basement. Like, it's like, I mean, most libraries like they don't let just anybody go down to the archive room in the basement or into the archive area of the basement.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, there are sections of the public library that are kind of kept off reach or out of bounds for like the public, and like also only like staff or people that are working at the library can go.
It shows how often I go to the library, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you even have a library card anymore, gamer?
Hell no.
You should, because like the new library in town is actually like really nice.
Yeah, it's rad.
Yeah, it's super irradiated. It's got 3 dungeons.
Wow. But yeah, with how potentially fucked up things are down there, and layers of dust because no one goes down there, and Pensworth saying best of luck, so he knows shit, like there's something down there.
Oh, 100%. Pensworth is, if like that's first off that name. But secondly, Pensworth is definitely one of the old guard, like maintaining the weirdness and secrets of Ichor Falls.
He's not doing a good job then, because he sends a kid down there to do it for him. But
yeah, but I mean the kid did disappear, and like they can't find him. I mean that's fine.
Yeah, that's operational security, right?
Yeah.
But it kind of feels like there should be a locked gate in front of the stairs to the first floor, seeing how unused it is and how potentially missing kidness it is down there.
Well, again, like the kid is working at the library, so like he has privilege to go down to the library. But I see what you mean. Like there should be. It would have been nice to have Mr. Pensworth had to like fumble through the key ring to find the right key to open the locked, like padlocked entryway down to the 3rd floor.
Yeah, because if it's just an open staircase,
yeah,
do they have a guard
Anybody
standing
could.
there? Like,
yeah. Yeah, no, there should have been some kind of a barrier that had to be opened to let Tyler down and into. Yeah.
Indeed. Then, in regards to the music, I don't get why he doesn't turn the music off ever. Like, during all the weirdness that's going on, that he is physically seeing all this weird shit going on. Maybe he's not thinking about it and all that, and that's why the music's still going. But it still seems kind of weird. Especially with all the unseen creatures around him, he can't hear anything. If he's seeing all this weird stuff out of his corner of his eye, wouldn't you kind of like pull your headphones at least down to your neck so you could hear if there's something coming up to murder you?
I legitimately want to counter you as being too genre savvy, but I've had this situation where like I've seen something out the corner of my eye, or I've heard something that's not on the track I'm blaring in my through my ears, and I've taken off my headset for like at least a couple of minutes, or turned down the volume to have a look
and that's
at what's going on.
Before you see the constantly repeating
guard
and stuff flying off the table by magical means.
Yeah. So like I want to counter you, but like
if he wants to keep the music going the whole time, fine, but at least pull it down so you can see that Tyler's at least somewhat concerned about his own safety.
Guys, here's a question. Is Tyler, and as a result George, his dad, and the New Elysium group, are they all just from Derpland?
I mean,
like do they like Tyler being from Derpland, but like also is the New Elysium group from Derpland? I mean, they came to this fucking isolated, mist-choked ghost town that's been empty for 20 years to try and revitalize the bones of this dead town in the middle of West Virginia. Like,
they're either from Derpland or they're Volus looking for profit, because...
Yeah. Yeah. And now I have the idea for porting Ichor Falls to Mass Effect as a colony. A Volus Corporation wants to try and revitalize this ghost town of a colony that's on a planet in the far recesses of some cluster.
Yep.
Only to find out that there's some kind of reaper slumbering beneath it. Fuck. I'll write that down. I'll go on the list of games to run. Damn it.
I like how these things just go that way. Like, there's nothing in my notes here about potentially a Reaper slumbering underneath a town that's been revitalized by Volus, but it somehow got there.
It's honestly, it's the magic of discussion.
Yeah.
Of conversation and like talking with your friends and shooting the shit about a story that we all read.
Mhm.
Like that's what I love. That's what I love about our show is like this like this kind of like spontaneous, natural improv that we have.
Yes, for sure. It is good time.
Yeah, but enough self-reflection. Continue on.
Okay. So yeah, my last one is just in regards to the ending, where I'm kind of agreeing with you, where I didn't really get it from the get-go, and it's dubious whether or not I still get it, because it's very open-ended. But like you said before, did the book literally swap with him? So now the book says "My Life" by T. Newman. How did the swap work? Did the souls transfer? Like Tyler's went into the book, and John's went into him. But as soon as it goes into him, it also ages up his body. So now he's an adult, like the same body.
Yeah.
That's why they can't find his body anywhere, because he is Tyler's body.
So it's like the Lovecraft story, the case of Charles Dexter Ward, where it basically, I'm pretty sure in the case of Charles Dexter Ward, it like there's either it's a body swap, or like there's something going on with like there's a switch and the character starts like acting strange, and doesn't and I think like their minds have been altered or been changed, like shifted over or something like that. Also, right now I'm furiously typing what is Newman's first name in Seinfeld.
He has no first name. He is only Newman.
Hang on. Did he not actually have a fucking first name? He really doesn't. Hang on. What?
It's Newman.
Yeah, it's just Newman is a recurring character and antagonist in the TV show Seinfeld. Huh. Wow.
Well, now I'm derailed. I need to look this up. Newman doesn't have a first name.
Wow. Huh. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut it off, like derail you this bad, but it's just like I really wanted to know if like just by happenstance Newman's like first name in Seinfeld starts with a T.
Apparently, there's a speculation that his first name is Norman. So it'd be Norman Newman.
Okay, Norman
mainly
Newman.
Because in the episode The Bottle Deposit Part 2, Season 7, Episode 2, the farmer's daughter shouts, "Goodbye, Norman." But that was actually the actress's mistake. She mistook Newman for Norman.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Damn. Wow.
Okay, I can continue the story now.
Yeah, I apologize.
It's fine.
For that derailment.
We have so many fines from the Tangent Police. It doesn't even matter at this point.
Hey, my door's barricaded. I'm
fine.
They'll never take me alive.
Yeah, I do wonder what the hell actually went down there, which I guess, as we talked about before, is kind of the point, because it could be this, that, or the other, and it's open to your imagination to think what it is.
Yeah.
Then, in regards to the payoff with the music, I was expecting a payoff of some kind, considering the music was there at all, because it didn't technically need to be there. And I suppose there's a bit of a payoff, but it kind of left me with more questions than answers, because J.G. Norrington is like also humming. So is he? Are they trying to say he is Tyler now, basically?
Or no? What I think is happening is like the reason why he's humming that song is because he was there, and when he like that is the same Norrington that grabbed Tyler when ELO was blaring through headphones. So like that's I think what it's trying to get at is like that's the connection, is that he's humming ELO because it was the last thing that he heard as he consumed Tyler to gain enough strength to revitalize or whatever,
I guess.
So it's now like kind of like it's sort of like you always remember your first, right? It's like I don't know
either. But long story short,
yeah.
I kind of wish the music was left just as background music. Like weird shit happens, he pulls the headphones down or shuts them off, and then all of a sudden we can hear the shadow whispering things to him in the darkness, or just hearing its movement around, it completely changes the tone if there isn't constant music, because it can actually get dark and spooky.
Wait, what if Newman is listening to ELO on his headset, and like he takes the headset off so the music can be heard in the chamber like that he's in, as he's looking around to see the darkness, and then after he's like satisfied, he puts them back on, and then when he takes his headset off to go looking for the book, or he turns it down, and the creature, the shadow, the shade, or whatever it is that Norrington is, and that supernatural entity or whatever it is in the darkness that grabs him at the end, it starts. Newman starts hearing words in the darkness, like luring him out into the darkness, that are lyrics from the song he's listening to.
It starts predatoring him.
Exactly, it's mimicking the music, and then so that it adds even further to like why John G. Norrington was humming that the tune at the end. It like further adds on to that, like the connection between like ELO, like why ELO is there, and like why it has a connection here.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
basically, some connection would have been better than a shaky one, in my opinion.
Okay,
but that is the end of my notes.
All right. And I suppose we'll move on to final thoughts. Finally, no. I'm gonna still recommend it. The story's flawed. I'm not gonna like say it's a perfect story. Nothing is. And like I had a lot of fun poking holes at it while doing this discussion with you guys, but I still fucking like it. So fuck all y'all. I love it. I recommend. Yeah, I enjoyed the read. I liked the horror elements that I saw in the story, and the ELO connection at the end was enough for me. It wasn't as shaky as it was like to me as it was for you guys. So, yeah, I will recommend it. So, Mikey, these stands for evil.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing here is the technology. Being old and outdated, yet somehow being really easy to use, and specifically for cataloging the card catalog into the database using a laptop. And then, so if we take that out and bring it up a few years, then I don't have that problem.
Yeah, it like this, and honestly, it could have been like early 2000s, and nothing of the story needed to change. Like it could have been the Ichor Falls. What's the newspaper? It's the Ichor Falls Sentinel.
Mhm.
And nothing would have changed.
Yeah, changing the year doesn't change anything in the story aside from making it more plausible.
Yeah. Because again, like you see that in Americana now, like nowadays, like or you see that in America, in literature and in fiction and stuff like that, and even in the real world now, like towns and stuff like that, like have like small isolated towns have a harder time kind of acclimating to the more modern progress. So
yeah, the only thing that really falls apart by increasing the year is the fact that the first floor doesn't have power.
I think it would still be it'd still be possible that like if the town is shitty enough or is like kind of like still in the dumps and stuff like that, and still having a hard time like getting on its feet and like revitalizing, like it would still take like they may not consider it a high priority to put power down,
especially
there.
If there's like thick layers of dust because no one ever bothers using it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the Elysium group should clearly be helping out with modernizing things.
They finally got there. They're finally like starting to revitalize, but it's taking time.
I feel like they would add power to the entire building before going ahead and adding stuff to a database.
I suppose.
Like, and also maybe indoor plumbing might be a good idea too.
There's indoor
Who says
plumbing.
there isn't?
I assume. Yeah.
Did he have to? Did he ever have to go outside and use the outhouse?
Well, but thinking about it, there's no power on the main or the first
Oh, I see
floor.
where you're going.
which means that the likelihood of them not having indoor plumbing is also high.
I see what you're saying.
I suppose.
So, yeah, it's just some of the stuff that's there just needs better explanations, and if brought up to the 2000s.
Okay.
That even where it is now, like, if they're going this technology route, explain that he has to keep filling floppy disks. So he's digitizing it, but instead of cards, he's got a stack of floppy disks.
Yeah, and each one would be like a different letter for this first letter of the book, right?
Yeah.
Depending on how many you could actually get on one floppy.
Mm-hmm. So, and as I stated before, the detective humming the ELO song that's on the radio is a very, very, very loose connection in my mind.
Like you got one bar.
And
clearly you're not a fan of yellow. Okay.
And then, like I said before, Mr. Norrington could be just from a family of Norringtons, and they have a tradition of naming all their sons J.G. Norrington.
Esquire the Third. Yeah.
So
fair.
It's super mundazeifying everything, but that's the way it unfortunately is. So I still do not recommend this if you're looking for creep factor.
All right, fair enough. And gamer.
So, as I said before, the music aspect of it didn't sit super well with me, both visually and the grammar, with how it blends into the narration multiple times, where I had to reread it and be like, no, okay, that's lyrics. And in the lore of how he's listening to music blaring in his ears while all this weird stuff's going on, it kind of wrecks the mood for me. As Mikey said, the creep factor isn't there because of the loud music just kind of blaring and covering it up. The concept is cool, though. A book that seems to swap and mix people together or whatever it is that happens, I don't know, is cool. It's eternally cool, but
cool eternal.
Yes. And seeing that in the end explains why the shadow being is trying so hard to show Tyler the book he wants. Because when he's like looking around and throwing the cards all over the place, it's like, what the hell is he doing this for? But after you see why, it kind of all clicks. Like, he wants him to open that book specifically. And the reason that card was so very meticulously drawn was probably because the shadow creature grabbed a pen and very carefully drew the name of it. So it's the only one that's very clear. So if he had to find one, it'll be that.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool. And then at the end with John G. Norrington showing up, it's making me wondering if he's actually going to try to figure out how to end this cycle or something. Like, he understands what's going on and he's back to actually break the curse somehow or whatever. Or if he just kind of said that to the press to cover up everything and he's just going to go back to a normal life and forget about it.
Honestly, I think I figured it was just sort of a like, he's just covering it. I was like, yes, I'm very dedicated to this. In fact, I dedicate my life to Tyler Newman.
Yeah.
Like,
but
and like,
cut
kind of like,
cut to 20 minutes later, he's sitting on the couch playing Cool Eternal. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I dedicate my life to T. Norrington because he's, in the book now called My Life.
Yeah, that is the cool.
Like, yeah. I definitely took it the more sinister route of, like, he's just kind of placating the masses about this mystery of this tragedy.
Mm. Indeed. But that being said, I did enjoy the read and I like the concept behind it. The only real thing that bugged me was the fact that the music is covering everything up. So that's why I said partial, but the more I'm thinking about it, it is a really cool concept to see how it's gonna go and like what actually happened, and if John G. Norrington is the same one that was in the book, or even if he isn't, regardless, if that guy is actually going to be investigating this and he has knowledge on this, it opens it up for a potential sequel. And I like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
If it goes that way, even if it doesn't, it's still cool to have that open.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to say partial, but still very high partial, only because the music wrecked the spook for me, because it could have been a good switch to be like everything's fine and normal, and then boom, the music's off. He's in this dark basement, black. You could barely see anything. And it's like super quiet, but there's like these weird noises that he's seeing where there's shadows moving. Like, there's a lot of potential for extra spook. Sorry, there's a lot of potential for spook in general because there isn't too much spook there to begin with. So it has very high potential. That's why I say very high partial recommendation.
Man, that was a roller coaster for me for like the last like 5 minutes. Because you're like, so I was gonna give it a partial recommendation, but then the music like really kind of bugged me. And so I was like, oh, he's gonna do like a low partial recommendation or not even recommend it at all. And then you're like, but like, and then you started like giving it like a bunch of highlights. It's like, is he just gonna give it like a full recommendation? And then it's like, so I'm gonna give it like a partial recommendation still, but like on the high end. It's like, oh, my heart.
Leave you hanging for 5 minutes straight. What the hell?
Like shit. Yeah.
Sorry, no.
No, it's fine. So yeah, at the end of the day, one recommendation, one non-recommendation, and then one high partial recommendation.
Because I have to be complicated.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's the human condition.
If you put a gun to my head, I would say recommended.
Ooh. Just gonna take a 15-minute break while I walk over to your house.
Please don't.
To say... No. So yeah. Yeah. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. We're all on Twitter. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without that W at the end because his name is very long.
Yeah.
Really just needs to be switched down to wishy-washy.
Yeah, I could, but I won't.
And I'm at Review Cultist. If you'd like to help, or if you'd like to send us emails, you can go to aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Where you also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, potential Ichor Falls stories if you can find one that we haven't done already, spooky things, SCPs. You creep it, we'll peep it. Yeah. And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon, select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with special episodes, early access, extra content. To our patrons that are helping support the show, thank you guys immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely, because without your listenership, it would be like screaming into the darkness of a deep, dark cellar of a library. Where we find a book and then are transferred over or are consumed by the same darkness, and someone is now walking and living our life out on the surface. And if you didn't write these stories about such horrors and weirdness and creepy, we really wouldn't have much of a show because we'd have nothing to talk about. So thank you. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.